Hi, it's Claire Thomas here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and we're going to have some fun. So, today's class is going to be focused a lot on our lower body, our back and our hips, opening them up, finding some space, releasing some tension. So, we should feel really good when it's done. If you'd like, you can have your yoga mat set up. I've got a yoga block, which we'll talk about for a few modifications today. And then any other props that you might need to support you. So that might be something that can pad underneath your knees. So I've got this here, which I actually got, it was sold for gardening, but it's a little foam pad that helps provide support for my knees. Maybe you've got a rolled up washcloth or a towel. Whatever you need to support you, because this is your practice. So we're going to get started today in an easy seated pose. So join me. Now I've got a cushion here. You've always got that option to elevate your hips off the ground if they're feeling tight. And so maybe that means you've got a cushion or just a pillow or a folded up blanket. Or your bum is seated right on the ground, and that's okay too. Ankles gently cross. And the first thing that we're going to do is take a moment to be intentional with our shape here. So we're going to sit up nice and tall. Maybe you adjust a bit. We want to feel grounded through our bottom half. And then grow our spine up nice and tall. Crown of the head reaching towards the sky. And then you want to relax. So maintain that length as you let your shoulders drop away from your ears. And maybe you wiggle your fingers loose and wiggle your toes. So we're looking for that balance of effort and lengthening with ease and softening. So take a few moments, find that shape that works for you today, and you always have the freedom to choose another shape. And once you've found your shape, we're going to settle in so you can gently close your eyes and start to bring your focus to your natural breath. Maybe you're noticing sensations around you, how your body feels, or you're hearing some noises in your environment, and that's okay. Maybe your thoughts are running wild. That's okay too. Once you notice that, bring your attention back to your breath. We can use our breath as a tool. We can do something called paced breathing. So what we're going to do now is a little breathing exercise that can help to reduce stress, lower your heart rate, reduce anxiety. And what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in through our nose, let's say for a count of 3. And then we're going to exhale through our mouth for a count of 6. Now, if you start with that count and you realize that's too much volume for you, you can inhale 2, exhale 4. But the idea here is that our exhales are longer than our inhales. So again, we'll start with the breath in through the nose for a count of 3. Let's do it. Breathe in. Exhale 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When you reach the bottom, breathe in again. 3. Let it out. Again, in and out. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Do the next few at your own pace, counting in your head. Wherever you're at, take it through 2 more rounds. And then return to your natural breath. The rhythm that your breath is taking right now without you trying to change it. Gently in through your nose and out through your nose. Take a moment to notice how you feel. We can manipulate our breath to actually affect our physiology. So know that this is a tool that you can add to your mindfulness or your I'm stressed and need to reset toolbox. And then we're gonna, if we're elevated, we'll remove that cushion. We'll come down to seated here. If your eyes were closed, you can open them. We're going to start to find a little bit of movement for our spine. So I mentioned at the beginning of class, today we're mostly focused on low back and hips. We'll get some back of our legs as well, and some shoulders and some neck. But our focus is on our lower half. We're going to ground down here. So hips really feeling rooted to the earth. And we're going to take some side bends and some twists. So again, warming up our spine. But I want you to really focus on your lower half, rooting down into your mat. So try not to be rocking side to side here. So with a big breath in, you'll reach your arms up to the sky. And then exhale, right hand will come to meet your mat. Left hand will reach up and over. Inhale to center. And then exhale to that opposite side. Remember, hips rooting down. We'll take a breath in, and this time we'll twist to the right. Left hand will grab for right knee. Right hand, I've got my fingers tented here, so up on my fingertips. And I'm not forcing here. I'm trying to maintain that long length in my spine. Gaze might even go over your right shoulder. And then we'll inhale. It's always that reset to center. And exhale the opposite way. So you can use a gentle tension from your right hand to your knee here to help to deepen your twists. But we're not forcing. We're just starting to warm up. We'll come back to center and do it all again. Breath in, lengthen. Exhale, take a bend. Inhale, center. Bend to the opposite side. Now we've got our twist. So we know our inhales take us center. Exhale, twist right. Your next exhale, you'll twist left. You got it. And we do it all again. Breath in, reach up. Side bend. Take it to the other side. Now we've got our twists. And we'll do that one more time. And if you're moving in the opposite direction than me, perfectly okay. If your pace is different than mine, perfectly okay. If you want to spend this entire practice in child's pose, just focusing on your breath, you guessed it, perfectly okay. Big breath in, and let's bring our hands to heart center here. Just for a moment, we were moving, and now we'll switch to stillness. Pick an intention for this practice. Maybe it's to listen to your body, drop any attachment you have to how it should look. Maybe it's to have some fun with the movements, to not care what anyone thinks. We're going to let our legs come long now. We're going to move between two different shapes here. So we're going to move between a seated forward fold, great stretch for back of the legs and low back, and then to a reverse tabletop. So this first time through, we'll walk it through, and then we'll move with our breath here. So inhale, we know we're going to reach up and lengthen, and then exhale, you're going to pull your belly in and hinge at your hips. So we've talked about this in class before, but we're not looking for a full rounding of the back, forcing my chest to my thighs here. And maybe that's just natural for you, and that's fine. You've got a really, you're really flexible, really loose hips. That's cool. Maybe you're up here. Your hips are feeling a bit tight and you're hinging here, but you feel sensation. Well, then that's perfect for you. Remember, we're not going to have expectations of how this should look, but we're going to focus on this being a hinge at the hips as opposed to a rounding of the back. So again, right, we've got that lengthening, and then we're going to hinge. And so this is our first shape. So your gaze will be down in between your legs, toes pointed at the sky. Our next shape is a reverse tabletop. So you'll sit up. Soles of your feet will find the floor here. Hands will come behind your bum. Fingers facing towards your bum or towards your feet. And then on a breath in, you're going to squeeze your booty. Send your hips towards the sky. Really pressing into your fingers and your feet here. Maybe you can relax through your neck and your face. And we'll sit back down. Straighten our legs. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to bend. Inhale, we'll sit up. Exhale, we'll set up for this tabletop. Inhale, send your hips high. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Exhale, back to seated. Do it again. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, we prep for this inhale here. And back down. Let's do that one more time. Nice and slow. We'll meet in this seated position, and we're actually going to take it down to our back now. I like to grab behind my knees and roll it down. Ooh, I hear some snap, crackle, and pop. That's all right. Hug your knees into your chest. Take a second to roll around. Maybe your intention was to have some fun here. You rock back and forth a little bit. Just massage your spine here. And we're going to connect some shapes together again. Remember, our focus is on back and hips. So here we go. We're going to start with a supine twist, right and left. So inhale, you're going to squeeze your knees in. And then exhale, with your knees stacked in at 90 degrees. You'll drop them to the right. Left arm extends. My palm is facing the ground. Gaze to the left. Inhale, we're back here. Give yourself a squeeze. And this time those knees will drop the other way. Inhale, back center. And this time our exhale will be to set up, similar to what we just did before reverse tabletop. So soles of the feet on the ground. Hands down by your hips. We're going to press up into a bridge here. So pressing into all four corners of your feet, you're going to again lift your hips to the sky. Similar to what we were doing before, but different. Your knees might feel like they're bowing out, so try to draw your inner thighs together here. And then gently set your bum down, hugging your knees. Let's do it again. Or exhale. Drop your knees to one side. You can pick which one. Inhales are to center. That's a common theme. Exhale, twist the other way. Inhale, center. And this time we'll exhale to set up for bridge. We're going to come up for just an inhale here. Exhale, lower down. Breathe in, squeeze. And we'll do it again. We'll twist right and left. Remember, you're moving at the pace of your own breath. If you need to pause and hang out in any shape, you do that. If you need to take something out, you do that. Our exhale, we prep our inhale, hips lift. Maybe you squeeze your shoulder blades together there, chest puffs out. Bum comes down. And on an inhale, we'll do it one more time. I remember starting my yoga practice and being very self-conscious of how I looked, even when I practiced alone. And I will tell you the freedom and the fun you find when you can let that go. Just do what feels good. We'll all meet in the center here. Little ball pose one more time. I think I made that name up. And then we'll rock and roll ourselves forward. We're going to meet in a tabletop. So, it doesn't have to be the most graceful thing you do today. But we'll move through some cat-cows because we can't have a class with a focus on the spine without doing some of these moves, which are so great. So we inhale, that belly drops to the mat, tailbone energetically pointing up. Squeeze your shoulder blades together so your chest draws towards the front of your mat. Gaze might come up. And then exhale, you reverse that. So you drop the tailbone, you pull your belly into your spine, you're rounding your back and your shoulders, you're pressing your fingers into your mat, you're letting your head hang long. Do that one more time. And then we're going to come into gate pose here. So it's basically a modified side plank. Right hand and right leg will stay. Your right toes might walk out to the edge of your mat more to give you some more stability. I'm on my left toes here. So I got this nice long side body and then reaching up and over. Can you feel that in your hip, in your top hip? And we'll come back to tabletop and do that on the other side. So we're basically, again, setting up for like a modified side plank. So I'm on my knee, and maybe this is where you need your rolled up blanket or some type of cushioning under your knee. Right toe helping me balance, and then right arm reaches up and over. Slightly peeling your hip open towards the sky. And let's do those a few times now. So go through 1 or 2 cat-cows. Come up, gate pose, big breath in. Exhale as you transition to the other side, then inhale, big reach. Exhale back to center. One more time here. Having some fun, listening to your body. Come back to tabletop. Now we're going to get into our hips a little bit more. So from tabletop here, just step my right foot between my hands and come into a low lunge. So since we came from tabletop and not like a downward dog, we might need a little bit more length here. So I'm going to walk my left knee back just a smidge. And then you really want to let your hips drop towards the mat. So again, I'm not forcing or pushing it here, but I'm mindfully thinking about that. Okay, hips heavy. When you put your attention on something and you're focused on that, you might really notice a difference in sensation. And if you want, you always have the option to elevate your torso here. Hands up, hands wide, hands heart center. You can take a variation that works for you. I'm just going to keep my hands on the ground today and really focus on that compression in the front of the right hip, that opening in the left. And sink your hips towards your heel. Right leg long. And same thing when we had our seated forward folds. I'm not trying to force chest to thigh here. I've got a long, straight spine, and I'm focusing on the hinge at my hips. Gaze down at your mat. We'll walk our hands back forward here. And this time, left hand will stay down, right arm will come and twist open towards the sky. And if you need a little bit more space here, that left hand can always come to your block. Maybe you try it out anyways because your block is within reach. Two more breaths. Right hand comes down. Let's sink into that low lunge again. Same side. Maybe this time your hips can sink a little bit deeper. Continue to breathe. Sink your hips back. 5 breaths here. And we'll slowly shift your hips forward again and come into that twist one more time. I actually liked it with the block. Never be afraid to try things out with your block. Again, I remember starting yoga and thinking, oh, do I need a block? Do I need a modification? It was admittedly a silly way of thinking, and it was not serving me. Letting my ego get in the way. This, I feel a lot more opening and twisting when I'm up higher on the block. And then we'll come back to a neutral spine, come to tabletop. If you want to reset in tabletop, any cat-cows, or I'm just going to shimmy my hips a little bit here because that feels good to me. And when you're ready, we'll step that left foot up. And we know what's going on. No surprises on this side. So again, I'm going to walk my right knee back. If you need that padding under your knee, take it. Remember, you can decide the elevation of your torso here. Now I'm up on my fingertips here. You can also have blocks in each hand, again, creating that a little bit more space. And I'm not just letting myself lay on my thigh here. I've still got some core engagement, and then just envisioning my hips sinking down towards the earth. Our hips, our biggest joints. So important to show them some attention and some love. And sink your hips back, hands will walk back. And it's okay if you want to come all the way down where your bum comes in contact with your heel. I'm again digging the elevation today. Try to relax your neck and your jaw. And then we'll walk our hands forward. And remember, we're going to take a twist here. I'm going to bring that right block, my right hand on a block. I'm going to twist open to the left. Now, since we're in a low lunge here, we're going to try not to let our knees splay out. If you really wanted to walk your left hip closer to the outside edge of your mat, you could do that. But for here, I'm imagining energetically drawing both my inner thighs in towards the center line of my body. And then hand will come down. I'm taking out the black. We'll sink into that low lunge one more time. Whichever way that you're taking it is great. See, I just focused on my hips and I was able to sink a little bit deeper. So see if you made any more space that you can move into. And then we'll back up the hips. Keep breathing. Soften that space between your eyes. Sometimes we really want to move in between poses and find some flow. That's the times when we can practice being okay with stillness. We'll shift our hips forward once again, and we'll find that twist one more time. Make sure you got a gentle bend in your right elbow. And we'll come back to tabletop and find any shakes and shimmies that work for you. Since today's class is focused on back and hips, we're going to move into a hip opener, and we're going to take half pigeon today. So if you like to get into half pigeon from downward facing dog, freedom to do so. I'm going to come into it from tabletop. So I'm going to still engage my core. And I'm going to bring my right knee and drop it behind my right wrist. My left foot is flexed, toes curling in towards my shin. And it's behind my left wrist. My shin is not parallel to the front of my mat. That's not a requirement of this pose. And then we want to focus on our hips here. So since my right knee is at the front of my mat, I want to draw my right hip towards the back of my mat and shift my left hip down. So we're really trying to square our hips. You might walk your left toes towards the corner of your mat a little more. That might open up some space there. It's going to depend on your anatomy. A lot on your anatomy. a little bit on your level of practice or so many other factors. What you did today and the past week, how you've been sleeping, all these things matter. Once your hips are set, you can start to soften your chest towards your mat. Maybe your chest makes it all the way down. Maybe you use a block as a cushion here, either underneath your chest or maybe underneath your forehead. Maybe your forehead and your chest make it all the way down. Explore, find what works for you. Arms stretched out towards the top of your mat. And then we settle in here. Three more breaths here. And just slowly start to walk our torso back up. Pause for a moment here. And then return to tabletop or downward facing dog. I will add this in the episode notes, but if a shape like half pigeon does not work for your knee, you can always cross your ankle above your knee as you're seated or laying down for a figure four. Draw that left leg up. It's a bit of a challenge from tabletop. You have to engage your core there. So if it's easier for you to take that from down dog, do what you need to do. So again, let's check in. Maybe your right foot walks out to the edge of the mat a little bit. And since my left leg is up this time, my left hip, I want to think about drawing back, shifting it back, see that? And right hip shifting down. And once you feel grounded in your lower half, that's when you start to melt forward with your upper half. Bringing in any props that can support you, block, pillow, blanket. And we start to settle in. 3 more breaths on this side. Slowly press your torso up. We'll bring both legs around to the front. We'll come into another seated forward fold, like we did towards the beginning of class. Legs are long, gentle bend in the knees. Big breath in. Reach up. And then exhale, hinge forward. Relax your face and just breathe here. Next exhale, see if you can find a deeper expression. And inhale. I'll step back up. We're going to come into a modified Savasana or boat pose here. So you're going to bring your heels. So you can take the soles of your feet to the floor, but I'm going to do heels here. And see here now, my spine is straight up towards the sky. I'm holding onto the back of my knees, keeping your core really engaged here, belly pulling in. You're going to lower your back until you start to feel that pull in your low belly. And we can just stay right here. So you're supporting yourself here. We're not looking to round our back or rock up. You do have the option to remove your hands or elevate your heels. Or you can just stay in this gentler boat pose, but you're still feeling some warmth and some core engagement here. A strong core is going to help protect your back. See if you can really straighten your spine. It's easy for us to start sagging here. So I imagine someone coming up and like running a zipper up your back. So, ooh. Puff your chest out. 2 more breaths. And we'll gently roll down here. Let's find that little ball pose that we were in earlier. Maybe you want to bring your arms to a T and drop your knees right and left. And then we're going to come into Supta, Baddha, Konasana. So you're going to bring the soles of your feet together here. And just let your knees open out wide. And if this feels too intense, or you're looking for more support, you can always bring your blocks here up under your thighs, so your knees aren't just hanging out. Just allow your knees to fall open, your hips to feel open. Maybe you place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly here. Let's bring our focus back to our breath. Gently bring your knees together, soles of the feet on the floor, both feet towards the edges of your mat. And then we can allow our knees to drop right and left as we rock onto the edges of our feet here. And here it's okay if your bum and your hip lifts off the floor. Feeling that rotation in your spine. And then if there's any other shape that you wanted to take today, freedom to take that now. Otherwise, we will meet in Savasana. So you let your legs come out long. Heels can be at the edges of your mat. Let your feet fall open. Hands at your side, palms up. And this is where we truly can rest. Gently start to move your fingers and your toes around, waking your body back up. You can stretch your arms over your head. Find a nice lengthening good morning stretch. And roll onto your right or left side, using your bicep as a pillow, knees curled in. Place one hand on your heart. Say thank you to yourself for showing up today. And we'll meet in this easy seated pose. You can keep your eyes closed. Bring your hands to heart center. And we'll end this practice with one big cleansing breath together. So breathe in through your nose. Let it out through your mouth. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me. Questions or comments or anything you'd like to see more of, just comment below. Have a great rest of your day.